right, for lesson 9.3, we're going to continue with our geometric shapes and finding area. So we were finding the area of a circle, and now we're going to look at figures that are not a square or a circle, but kind of a combination of both, or a triangle. So it's going to be like put together areas. So the first, if you open up your book to page 368, we'll look at the first few things that they have on here. So the first thing they have is this squared out box, and it says estimating. So what they want you to do is just count each square, and then using these little blue triangles as half squares, count them as a full square. And if you count each one, then that should give you about how many square feet that figure is. But there's other ways to figure it out when it's not on a grid. So if we look at example 2, we have this shape. It's a square, because this is 12 and 12, and then a half circle. Okay, now theirs is slightly better drawn than mine, but that's what it is. So the first thing you would do is you would find the area of the square, and we know that area of the square is just going to be side times side. So it's just going to be 12 times 12, and that'll give us the area of this section. And 12 times 12 is 144 meters squared. Now we're going to add to it this. Well, this is half of a circle, and we know from 9.2 that the area of a circle is pi r squared, right? So a circle is pi r squared. And if we're going to find half of that, we would just divide all of that by 2. And so if we plug in, this is 12. Our diameter on this circle is going to be 12. So our radius will be 6. So that's pi times 6 squared divided by 2. Well, 6 squared is 36, times pi is going to be, it's going to be 113.04 over 2, and that's going to equal about 56.52. Now, to find the area of this entire thing, we would just add this to this. So 144 plus 56.52 is going to give us 200.52 meters squared. So with all of our shapes that you do in this lesson, you're just going to find the two different shapes and add them together. So for this one, it's finding the square and then half of a circle. You add those together and you get your answer. The next one we have is this weird looking thing. We've got a rectangle, and then this triangle coming out of here. Okay, and they've labeled it, this side is 4 feet, this side is 12 feet, this little part here is 3 feet, and this here is 5 feet. Okay, so if you don't have this on your formula card, you need to put down the area of a triangle, because the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 base times height. the area of the triangle. And so for this, that's going to equal 1/2 times 5, and then our height is 3 plus 4, so that's going to be times 7. And so that's going to give us 35, so it's going to be 1/2 times 35, which equals 17.5. And of course then we know the area of a rectangle equals base times height. So base times height, or what, length times width, sorry, either one. Length times width, you just take one side times the other side. So that's going to equal 4 times 12, which equals 48. So then we would just add these two together. And so the area of this weird little rectangle triangle figure is 48 plus 17.5. It's going to be 65.5 feet squared. So for most of these problems, what you're going to have to do is divide your figure out into shapes that are solvable, and then add those two areas together. Okay, so it's just going to be a lot more work. So for this lesson, I want you to do 1 through 15 all. So 1 through 15 all. And make sure you're leaving yourself enough space on the paper. You know, skip lines for your answers if you need to, but this is going to take a lot of work. So you can either do your work on another separate sheet of paper, or just make sure you're leaving enough space for each problem to get all of the work done. Okay, so that I can read it and it's not too sloppy. All right, if you don't have any questions, you can get started on your assignment.